Yo, 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 what's poppin', all my wrestling peeps? It is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, joined with the best of the West. You cannot forget about Sarah Marshall for a special edition and something new that
Mm.
Sarah and I thought about, implementing and start doing in the new year, our Raw Rebound. So it is Pitts and Sarah's wrestling show brings you the Raw Rebound. And this is one thing that we're going to start doing in the new year is more types of shows like this. Won't be a podcast as you are watching this live on Sarah's YouTube channel, or you're on my Twitter at Pat_Pitts and at what Sarah, what's your official YouTube name?
I don't know actually. You should be able to search my name. I'm trying to figure out what this is because it says if you search like at Sarah Marshall 9097, that's what it says on my YouTube channel. But I'm very confused in trying to figure out this whole thing. So bear with me.
No, yeah. Bear with
We'll
us through
figure it
this
out.
entire thing. We're going to be bringing stuff like this. We got the Raw Rebound right now. Tomorrow we will be recording our pod live, maybe. Who knows? That's a new thing. We're still adjusting our attitudes to the new year. Haha, like that.
Yeah.
And we're going to be trying different things like this. And all we ask is your support during this. We want to give you the best wrestling content, the most unique, different. And, this is one way we're going to do it. Sarah, I know you're hyped for this as well.
Yes, I am. I'm very excited that we get to talk about wrestling because, as we're heading into like the NFL playoffs, that's usually what we're so focused on. But I want to talk about wrestling, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it's a one thing, right, in my fandoms, will say, where it brings me joy because the Patriots, yeah, they won, but I was wrestling there. And Raw was awesome last night. Raw was so good. First one of the new year, too. What a better way to kick things off with this first edition than breaking down the first Raw of 2023. And honestly, I thought it was really well done, and just kicking things off here with the intro, and you're getting, yeah, it feels like greatness, and then just
Mm-hmm.
cuts away to the Usos with a hostile takeover. I love this element because this is exactly how the tribal family, whatever you want to call it, would react to their next public appearance after that loss on Friday night. So what it did was it continued the story well, and it kind of made them like, all right, they're hungry, they just are going to do whatever they want. And then for the locker room to come down and feud with them, I loved it. It was awesome.
See, and I'm torn on it because I think given what happened on SmackDown, obviously because they lost, it like made sense. But it's because they've been doing it. Didn't they do it last Raw and last,
Oh, they
and
just do it,
so
yeah.
yeah, so if it's gonna be something that they're gonna keep doing, I feel like it's gonna get old pretty quickly because it's just like, okay, it's like another week and this is happening again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I and then for me, it's because I keep thinking about how the bloodline thing, it seemed like it was getting kind of stale, and that's why they just were like, okay, we're gonna have Sammy be like a full-blown part of it, like we have talked about that before, and obviously he's like reinvigorated the entire storyline.
Oh, yeah.
um but now I feel like they're kind of stuck in a way because it's like, okay, so Sammy's fully in the bloodline now, he's an accepted member, he's Sammy Uso, whatever. But because there's still 3.5 weeks until the Rumble, and it's like, who knows what's going to happen there? I feel like they're kind of just not sure what to do right now because there's been so much time between pay per views. And I assume this somewhat indicates that they're not sure where they're going to be taking the bloodline storyline, how long Roman's going to be champion, who's going to dethrone him, how is this whole thing going to fall apart and whatnot. So I'm fine with the hostile takeover, but I really don't want to keep seeing it. If we're being honest, like I don't want to see it again on SmackDown. I don't want to keep Like, to me, it's just I don't know, I just don't care. And
Yeah.
as great as I think Sammy is, it's very difficult for me to, like, take him seriously as, like, "Oh, I'm so intimidating, I'm an ass kicker, look at me, I'm with the bloodline, and we're gonna mess you up," and I'm just like, "Sammy, this like, you're
Yeah.
insane," you know? Like,
Mhm.
it just doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
but yeah.
No, I know what you mean. It just I liked it this week because it made sense for how things ended,
Right.
and at where I see it, I don't see it happening again in the way they
Yeah.
did it because of how they just tore apart everything. Usually
Mhm.
when that's an indicator like, all right, this is culminating or something's going to happen to kind of shift the tide a little bit. And that's the Raw locker room coming down after KO, after security and whatnot. And then everyone wants to get their hands on him. That's the boiling point. So we were kind of reached the boiling point there, and it was a good segment for that, just for the pure shock value to reel in, the viewer for this week.
Mhm.
And I've read reports already that they're planning to split the titles before the Rumble. So maybe
Oh,
this have might have something to do with it, and this brings it
but
to that much more. I don't know.
I mean, I've read about them wanting to split them before Mania. I didn't read about them wanting to do it before Rumble, which I feel like is kind of a disservice to Roman because at least have it happen at a pay-per-view. At least hold off on it until the Rumble or whatever's after the Rumble. Um because he's been champion for so long, if you're going to split it, like that's a huge deal for him at this point. So I feel like you can't just have that happen on a random Raw or
No.
SmackDown because he's never on Raw. Um
Really
yeah,
on SmackDown either.
no, I know, and that's another thing that I'm so old school. I'm like, if you're gonna be champion, you need to be on every single show, and if you're gonna be double champion, you need to be on every single show. Um, I mean, I understand he's been champion for over 2 years at this point, but like, you know, I just I'm with USA Network side where they don't like that the champion is never on their show, and that's kind of how I am too. So um, I would like to think that that's not going to happen. I want them to split the titles. I think that makes the most sense and it gives more people opportunities, but I think that they would need to do it at a pay-per-view. I feel like that's kind of messed up to do it on just like a random Raw. I mean, especially at this point, like who's going to take it? Like he's not feuding with anyone. Is it just going to be like, "Oh, you're just going to have a random match on Raw or SmackDown and whoever you're against is the one that wins?" Like I just feel like that's kind of
Do you think
weird.
they would do it because AEW constantly is putting big title matches on their weekly shows?
I
So
don't
it would be a way to, kind of not take their approach to that, but it's kind of using it in that way where it's like, oh my God, WWE never does something like this, and they're gonna do it on a Raw. It's like whatever, that company that you're rival with or whatever does that's, you know, exciting, thrilling, whatnot. It's that case where WWE will take it, and because they're just a bigger entity, it means that much more, and it can be used against that, company, if you know what I mean. So I just if they were on the same night, I think that'd be 100% yes, they would do it, but I just a thought that popped in my head because that's the only reason I could think logically of why they would do it, before the Rumble. I
I
could see
think
them doing it at the Rumble, though.
well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if it would happen before Raw or Rumble, I'm sorry. But I do think if it is something that happens on just Raw or SmackDown, it would have to be advertised because
Oh, yeah.
you need to have the hype built around that. You can't just like
Absolutely.
open SmackDown, have some sort of segment that then leads into, okay, he's going to get a championship match because that also doesn't play in line with how Roman conducts himself or
Yeah.
how any of the title matches have gone. So, like in that span that he's been champion. So, if that were to happen, it would have to be promoted. And then the only way that would make sense is that they then maybe had a rematch at Rumble. But that just kind of just, to me, it just kind of dims the importance of like being double champion if he just hasn't lost on a random SmackDown. Because then
Mhm.
also, like I said, like, is it just going to be, oh, they fought backstage, Roman's pissed, and now he wants to have a title match? Like that just doesn't make any sense. And there's not really a lot of storylines involving Roman specifically right now. It's a lot of like the rest of the bloodline having issues with other people. So it's not even like, okay, let's throw Kevin Owens at Roman and have him dethrone him, or Rollins. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at this point.
Hmm.
But they're gonna have to figure it out because, like I said, it's 3.5 weeks away. Finally, the Rumble. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to them splitting it in general, but
Hmm.
it's hard to figure out who it's gonna be. I mean, I have like who I would like to see um be the guy, but that doesn't mean that's what's gonna happen.
Do I think, yeah, you Cody, right? You're team Cody.
No, I'm not actually on that. I want to see. I don't want Cody to return and then immediately become champion. I feel everyone. Okay, not everyone, but people were super invested in Cody's storyline, the whole return, and then like the trilogy with Rollins and like the things that he was, the promos he was cutting and um having such a connection to his family and mentioning Dusty, and I want to see that continue. I want to see like him fight and like crawl, scratch, just like everything like to get the championship. I feel like as much as I want him to be champion, I don't want it to just happen during his return, or like there's not a lot of storyline build up to it. You know what I mean? Like I
Okay.
get why people want him champion, but I feel like because of the direction that he was trying to go with his story and with his character, I just don't see how it would be beneficial for him to just be like, okay, I'm back and now I'm champion. It's like, okay, but what about everything leading up to it? Because what was happening this year before he was injured was so good. And so it would
Yeah.
be a shame, I think, to just hand him the championship basically,
So you
you
want the
know?
journey back. You want that
Yes.
journey that we didn't get because he was injured. You
And
want to
that's
see that finally come
yeah,
together.
and that could be something where that is the lead up to Mania. Like if he, because it seems like he's coming back soon. They said that as far as I'm seeing, they're not going to have Cody's return be a surprise. It's going to be um announced, is what is being said right now.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's plenty
smart.
of time between now and Mania. Even if he didn't come back until next month, there's plenty of time for them to build up something between him and Roman, whether he has to like pick off members of the bloodline before he gets to Roman. I like that. I like that idea. He has to go through like all the members of the bloodline before he gets the title shot. I like that. See, because then that's the journey, right? And I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that's gonna make him winning the title so much more special because people were so, like I said, emotionally invested when he first returned and everything that he was talking about. I mean, he was talking about his daughter, so people were like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh," And then even the last match, the Hell in a Cell match, had so many tributes to Dusty. I mean, from Seth's gear to just everything they were doing in the match
Oh,
itself.
there was so
Um,
many little Easter eggs throughout their
yeah,
entire feud. It was awesome. It was
yeah,
awesome.
and so I feel like it would just kind of be a shame to not incorporate that again and like build upon that, because I think people will be excited if he was going to end up being champion, but why not get them more invested by rebuilding on that story that he left off of so abruptly because of injury.
Yeah. I like that. I didn't. All right, because my thinking is kind of the predictable at this point,
Mhm.
with just have him return, win the Rumble, and then feud with Roman that way. And,
Mhm.
when he goes through each member of the bloodline, it's just, tic tac toe before you get to the main event. Where your idea is that no, every time he faces that bloodline member, it means something.
Yeah,
And
it's like a
there's
step up in the ladder to get, because
exactly.
see, then if they're gonna split the titles, whoever wins the Rumble doesn't have to fight Roman. It Whoever is the one that splits the titles, that guy can then say, "I'm gonna go face so and so who has whatever title." I believe that he had Roman was WWE champion, right? That's the one that he originally won. Then when he beat Brock is when he got Universal. Is that right?
No, it was Roman
He
was
was Universal.
Universal. Brock
Okay,
beat Big E at day one, which to
that's
this
right.
day, which
Okay.
I read today, from someone, I think it was Ryan Satin or somebody, that that was a big issue heading into the Rumble last year was that they took the title off Big E to put it on Brock. Heading into
Mhm.
the Rumble, it made no sense.
Yeah. Well, that's like a yeah, that's a whole thing. So,
That's a
that
whole
would mean
other
that
on it.
the whoever becomes WWE champion. But
Mhm.
see, then that's a problem too, because then I would want Cody to be WWE champion. I wouldn't want him to be Universal champion.
Exactly. The Universal
So,
is, I would say,
but they're
it
not
even means less than the heavyweight
yeah, and so
did.
I feel they're not gonna take whatever title that he's had longer, they're not going to take that off because then that would essentially cut off the 2.5, almost 3 years or whatever that he's been champion, because technically he's been champion because of that championship, not because of the
Mhm.
one that he just took from Brock, earlier this year. So that's a problem. I like my idea, but I just don't like it being for the Universal title if that's what it would be.
Can't have it
Mm.
all, Sarah,
No, I
okay? You
know. It's just in a
can't
perfect world.
always get what you want.
Whatever.
You try
Whatever.
sometimes. You get what you need.
Okay, well,
And
you
what
know what
we
I
need
did
is to move on to the next
Yeah, I was gonna
segment.
say what I
There
did
it is.
like
Segues are
was,
weird.
Alexa versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship last night. I was very excited. I didn't think that the title was gonna change hands, although it's hard because I love Bianca. She is so talented. She's amazing. She's been champion for so long. Like, I'm so excited for her. She's always putting on good matches. But oh my gosh, I was just like, if Alexa won right now, I would not be mad. And although that didn't happen, and the match did kind of end in a weird way, kind of.
It
I
needed to.
I know, no, I 100% agree.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
what was funny, right, is like what they were doing at first. I don't know if you felt this way too, but so I was like, because of Triple H taking over too, I'm trying to like pan, like when things are happening, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Is there something going on in the audience? Like, what's going on in the background? Like, I try to look, And so when I noticed that guy like standing there in the mask, like the first one, I saw the security guy like trying to push him down, like to
Oh,
push him
I
like
knew exactly what's happening. I'm like, "Oh,
so,
yeah, this
but
guy."
that's what threw me off. So I was like, okay, so this guy's standing there. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, they're selling these masks, okay. And it was
They're
because of this.
selling
Yeah, it
25.95 on WWE Shop.
yeah. So I was well, and it's because the security guy, I'm like, I don't think he was told or like what was going on
No.
because he was like straight up trying to be like, dude, you need to sit down. And I would have been pissed anyway if that was like a legitimate person because I would have been like, dude, I paid to be front row. Like, you're not going to push me down. I can stand if I want to.
Mhm.
But then I was like, oh my gosh, I was like so excited. And then they showed the other one and I just knew it. The second she started like going up the turnbuckle, I was like, yes, there's going to be another one. And then of course the Tron with the Bray
The
stuff.
Bray
I was just like,
logo.
we're finally seeing it. And I like that they're also like taking their time with it because we talked
Oh,
about how
yeah.
they had to do that because who knows what's going to happen between now and Rumble. It's possible she'll have a title match at the Rumble and that's
Oh, no,
kind
they're
of
still
like
gonna
a
yeah. They're
well,
still gonna
I
fight
just
the
meant she
Rumble.
could be in the Rumble. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Oh,
Um
correct, correct.
but I think that if they're going to have that be the match at Rumble, then they need to take it slow. And I like what they're doing. Like she's doing a really good job. But this is the thing too. I can you just tell the massive shift in her and Alexa's energy and mood?
Oh, it's incredible. It's
Like
awesome.
I said it to my sister last night, I think it was, when she was making her entrance. I was like, this girl is so happy right now. Like, her mood is so different. Her energy, the way she's just like coming down the ramp is so different than what it was even just a few weeks ago. So I'm like, she's on cloud nine. She is
She's
so
on, yeah.
excited that this is happening again. So I'm very excited. I can't wait to
I
see what ends up happening.
I love it because you knew that Alexa wasn't gonna win this match. You just knew it. But
I thought
what
that it
it
possibly could just to be like a complete upset, but that was my only like
like,
idea. Like
yeah.
something crazy happened and that's how it ended, but
You
she
didn't
still
think it was
won.
gonna happen,
But
but you're like, "Keep in mind it could."
yeah, what if? Yeah.
What if this
Exactly.
happens? No,
Yeah.
my thoughts are that they did it so well with the masks popping up and that
Mhm.
they are letting it marinate. They're letting it soak and just get to the, let the fans have their own theories like we are right now because
Mhm.
that is what's gonna make them you tune in the next week and, they're not only interested in Alexa, it's like, all right, now Bray's involved on Raw, but he's still got this LA Knight thing, and then the whole like it's the best story right now. It's one of the best stories in wrestling right now.
Mhm.
And to have Alexa in, you needed to have her in because of like what you said. She's a completely different person. She said in interviews that the best time of her career was working with Bray
Yeah.
Wyatt because it allowed her creativity to just run wild. She's getting that opportunity now,
Mhm.
and it's so great. And what I like too about the whole segment was now we're really getting personal with, well, I mean, I take it's not that this segment caused it. I think the announcement of their show, Bianca and Tez, and obviously they became very in the public eye. But having
Right.
him come down to help her back to the backstage area, I don't know, like that adds another layer to it, you know,
A human
that
element to them.
exactly, it adds that human
Yeah.
element where now it's like, all right, the human element of she's twisted in the mind, but now it's that, oh, this is a Tez thing. Maybe we'll see them, he'll come down to her. Maybe Bray and Tez start feud. You know what? Like
Yeah.
it makes it starts asking questions, and that's what we need to keep doing with this segment and with the entire
Mhm.
why is just keep asking these questions because who knows what the hell the answer is going to be.
Yeah, and I think it also just shows, it kind of is selling the idea that Alexa's crazy, you know? So it's
Oh
like, oh,
yeah,
it's not just something that Bianca is saying or whatever. It's like, no, like even her husband is now like, okay, this chick is insane. But
yeah,
it's funny too because we've talked about it and I wrote about it months ago about how Alexa needed Bray to return and there were people that were like, "Yes, Sarah," and then there were people being like, "No, she doesn't." And then I'm like, "Look who was right." Okay? But I I think it's interesting because she was held off TV for so long by Vince, and then it became disappointing for her, obviously, because it was like, well, they have nothing for her, so that's why she's sitting at home. But it almost has worked in her favor because of this eventual storyline that's now happening.
oh yeah.
Obviously, we couldn't predict that Vince was going to step down and Triple H was going to take over, and that
No
we were
one
going to
thought
be able
that.
to
Yeah.
see Alexa back at this point.
Mhm.
But I like how when they did that sit down last week that she was saying, that she had to take time to herself and she was like seeing therapists and doctors and like she was in a dark place or whatever. I feel like that was a great way to sell the idea of why she was off TV for so long
Yeah.
because everybody, if you have social media, knows that she got married, and I think she was injured a little bit before that, and that
She
was
was.
originally
She
why.
was injured a lot
Yeah,
before it.
and then she was cleared, but then was still kept off, so it's like there were several reasons why, but
Yeah.
if you pay attention to social media, then you would have known that, like, she had been fine for quite a while, so it is cool that they're now able to include that in a believable way that adds, I think, a lot to the storyline, and it's the same thing with what they did with Bray, where it's like, we kind of have to, like, uh, pretend like he wasn't released, but it's like he was released and then he like went through this like scary mental health phase that is part of his storyline as well. And so I really think that whoever is all working on these storylines is doing a brilliant job, honestly.
They're doing such a good job. The writing has got so much better. The
Yeah.
storytelling is so compelling. It's so refreshing as a
Mhm.
wrestling fan to just be
Yep.
able to turn on Raw and not have to look at the clock to ask when it's over. That's
No,
that's my favorite.
yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people have talked about where, people for so long were complaining about it being 3 hours. I was never one of those people that complained about it being 3 hours because I was like, this just gives more people opportunity to be
Yeah,
on TV.
exactly.
So, I understand if it's like not exciting, so it's like, "Oh my god, this is 3 hours." Like I get that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think now it's like I've seen so many people talking about when they're watching it, like, oh, I looked at the clock and it's like, main event time. I mean, I did that twice last night because without getting into all of the heartbreaking stuff that happened in the NFL game last night, I was trying to watch Raw live along with the East Coast and I got distracted because Monday Night Football and all that was going on. So then I was rewatching it and I realized at one point as Rollins is coming out, I was like, "Oh wait, it's main event time already?" Like it was the second time I was like watching it, but actually paying attention. And I think a lot of people are feeling that way now. And I it's like finally, I'm like we're so glad that we're back at this point instead of being like, okay, here's another bathroom break, or oh, I'll go do this and it's not a
Yeah.
big deal because I'm not gonna miss anything.
Yeah, I had to it's you now you have to time your breaks. You're like, "All right,
Yeah.
this commercial break, pee, gotta go upstairs, whatever." It
Hmm.
just it's so nice, and that and the other thing they're doing that would never, never happen in the Vince McMahon era is no ads in the first hour. Like, when they do that, that
Yeah.
is when you know you can't leave your seat. Like, that is like Game of Thrones, Westworld type shit where you are on your ass watching the spectacle in front of you for a good hour. No bathroom breaks because you know something important is going to happen.
And you know
Um,
what, I was thinking about it last night too, and I guess we could just say it here. I really like Kevin Patrick on commentary. I like
he's
the
very good.
dynamic. Yeah, and I like the dynamic between him and Graves. Like, I'm not like a huge fan of Corey Graves. He can be super annoying and he still can be super annoying, but I like their dynamic, and I think that going back to the two-person commentary was a brilliant idea. The three people, it was just too much. Um, Especially when it was Graves and Byron, it was like they would just be like Graves specifically would just be like constantly like antagonizing Byron and insulting him, and it was like, okay, we get it, but it's like it's becoming too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but because they've been struggling specifically on Raw to find their main commentary guy, I think Kevin Patrick is the perfect one. Like, he's exciting, he's interesting to listen to, um, and he's not boring, and he doesn't like ignore Corey, but like doesn't also like overly engage with him when he's like, being the heel commentator.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Is he doesn't he reminds me of a younger Michael Cole with King, in the
Mm,
90s in a way where Cole was not obviously where he is now, and he was just, starting out, and he was just trying to do, I would say, do a job. He just was
yeah,
just trying to call the action, and that was his role. He was just the play-by-play guy. And then you have King or whoever else would be color, and it would just be, that's their character, that's their
yeah,
shtick, whatever. That's what Kevin Patrick's doing. It feels like he is just really good at his job, calling the action with the right emotion, whatever. And then Graves plays off that to his character with, how, the heel and whatnot. It's a very good balance. And I love seeing that now. Cause yeah, I'm not the biggest Byron Saxon fan, but yeah, it gets annoying when it's like every other one. It's like, all right, can you come up with another joke at least? Or,
no, I know.
yeah.
Well, because it was like, oh, he's young, he's bald, he's like smaller than you. It was just, or like he's dumb. Like, that's all that Graves would ever say, and it was just like, okay, we get it. Like,
Yeah.
the same three insults that you use every week. But
Then we had
anyway,
Elias.
yes,
Let's go right into
Elias.
Elias.
I got so excited last night when they were like, and now we present to you or whatever, Elias. And I was like, yes. But then I was already disappointed at that point because they already had him being like, I want to fight the bloodline. This is messed up that they're attacking Raw. And I was just like, this is so dumb. Like, please let him start insulting everybody again. I want to go back to Elias, just like he would have completely obliterated Nashville last night. And
Oh, he
instead,
would have.
he was trying to play some sort of like nice song in the middle of the ring. I do like that he said walk with Elias. I was like, WWE stands for. I was
Or
like,
walk
yay.
with Elias.
But I don't have a whole lot to say about this match other than I was happy to see Elias wrestling and have like a pretty lengthy match for
Oh
him.
yeah. No,
Um
that went 2 breaks, I think. 2 breaks.
yeah, and so I like that he was against Solo because I've said before, Solo Sikoa is my favorite member of the bloodline other
Bum,
than
bum,
Sammy.
bum,
I'm
bum,
saying it
bum,
for,
bum,
yeah,
bum,
his song
bum.
is amazing.
It's incredible.
Um, and then I wrote down too that I felt like it was one of the more interesting um matches that had a stipulation like that, where a lot of the time when they have some sort of like city themed or holiday themed type of street fight or something like that, usually it's just kind of like, okay, this is lame, it's like whatever. But I was actually like interested in it last night. I felt like they had like a decent balance between like overly using the weapons, the musical instruments and actually wrestling. So it wasn't like overkill where it was like, okay, yeah, like they have guitars lined up. Like it was like, no, I felt like they used them in appropriate
Oh,
ways.
they used everything. The drums when he went crashing
Yeah.
in the drums.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it wasn't like overkill that they were trying to be
oh
like,
yeah,
we're in Nashville, we're using these. And it's
yeah.
like, okay.
But the finish where he did the solo effect or whatever
Oh
it's
yeah.
called,
Yeah.
on the
The
grand
solo
piano.
spike or something,
Oh, the
something like that.
spike before it, which
Oh,
I
okay.
love how we're doing the solo spike in, paying homage to Umaga,
Mhm.
but the other move that he has where it's pretty much a rock bottom, to be honest with
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and he did it on the grand piano
Yeah.
and pins, like, that was how a Music City street fight should have ended.
I I feel like we say this every single week, but I just love watching Solo because he's just so different than his brothers. And so I think that's something, we've said it a million times on here, but like it's I don't know, I find it really exciting to watch him because I feel like nothing against the Usos. Obviously, they some of my favorite matches this year involved the Usos. So, um, nothing against them, but I feel like you kind of know what you're gonna get with them. Like their style, and it's very much tag team oriented, obviously. So it's nice to have like this type of guy in the bloodline too, and like able to hold his own. I don't know. I'm really excited and I'm happy that he's able to like do these things on his own and possibly can break out and be his own solo star, you know what I mean?
Hey, nice wordplay. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's
But
not much
then
to say on that. That
because
was
we're talking about the Usos anyway, so it was Usos and Sammy
mhm.
versus Street Profits and KO. I don't know. How did you feel about this match? Because I mean,
I
it
liked
wasn't
it.
like it wasn't
It
like
was
super memorable to me, but
No, it was a great TV match. It had,
mhm.
it was solid where, I was into it. I didn't think, oh, I thought the Bloodline could win honestly at some point,
Yeah.
but then they didn't. KO gets the win, obviously. Right? I'm not. Let me just double check that. Oh
No, I
no,
think
Bloodline won.
Sammy, yeah. Yeah,
Sammy won.
Sammy won. Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, yeah, and they was okay, yeah, I'm reading the Bleacher Report right now.
Mhm.
Um, Unfair advantage. Zayn gave a haluva kick, and then the egg salmon. But okay, I like that because they still need a win. The Bloodline need a win.
Yeah.
And
No, I
if
mean, after SmackDown, yeah.
after they absolutely did. I could only see KO being the one to pin them, and then it would have
Mhm.
led to, oh well, he pinned Sammy, so he should get a title shot, but didn't happen. But yeah, it's just the bloodline. They can't lose right now.
Yeah.
You can't have them lose, and it would have been nice to see, uh, another type of match and get everyone involved. They're gonna win. If a hostile takeover, just have them beat everybody that came out to beat them up. But
I'm
whatever.
wondering
It was
if
a good
this is
segment, like, it was a good match, it wasn't.
yeah. I'm just wondering if this is maybe somewhat of a hint that Kevin Owens is gonna be the one to split the titles because he's so involved in the bloodline stuff right now. And now it's going beyond, just him and Sammy having their traditional like back and forth every few years. Um, but I I'm wondering if that's what their end game is going to be, and I'm not mad about it because they've talked about it several times about him not being champion for 3 years, and the last time it was against Roman and whatever. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it, and that's why they keep like having Owens
Oh, yeah,
in
no, it's tied. No,
yeah,
absolutely, it is,
because
yeah,
it's on
that is
Raw and SmackDown. Like
yeah,
it's like
no,
it's
he
not
is the
just
next guy to dethrone. That's Kevin
yeah.
Owens, I feel like, is going to have a hand in dethroning
Can,
Roman Reigns.
you know what would
It's what?
what would be sick is Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
That would be a sick match.
I
That would
feel
be.
like oh my god, I'm just like excited at the thought of that because there's literally like the aura of WrestleMania in those two, which are like two of the best in the business right now. Like
Oh, yeah,
that would be fire. That would be so good. Probably
that
match of
would
the
be
night,
incredible.
match of the weekend. But I like it because then that would get Seth involved into the title thing too. Because I would assume if they're going to have him at least take one title away from Roman, it's going to be interesting to see how they try and go with that afterwards. Like, is Roman going to get a rematch? Is he going to want a rematch? Is he going to want to try and go after the title? Is it going to be a Sammy versus Kevin for the title? Like, what is it going to be? You know, if that's what it ends up being. Because I really honestly would not be surprised if Roman doesn't try to get a rematch if that were the case. Because why would he? It doesn't end his streak. You know, it's just like, okay, whatever. This was just like extra gold anyway. I was carrying, like, but I don't
Yeah.
know. There's just so
I
many things that we can speculate about at this point
Oh, there's so many. I mean, I
or
just
dream about.
the thought popped in my head that, what if KO and Sammy main evented WrestleMania at least one night?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, people know how good
They
that is
should.
if you paid attention to their matches in NXT, especially.
If you
But
and
then
if
this.
you're even more diehard and know their Ring of Honor shit,
Oh
that would
yeah,
be
yeah.
oh
But
my god,
imagine if
El
that is
Generico
how.
versus Kevin Steen.
I know. Can you imagine that being done at Mania? That would
That'd be a
be. But see, then
dream.
this is the part that's weird too, right? Because then of course at the end then came out the Brutes and McIntyre. So again, I feel like there's so many people involved in this like storyline. It's kind of hard to decipher which direction they're going in and who's going to be involved in what, because those are SmackDown guys who are then coming over to Raw to be like, hey, like with the Usos and the Bloodline. But then it's like, okay, so then what are we doing here? Because then it
Yeah.
just made it seem like then like, is Kevin not really involved in this? Like he almost felt like the odd one out. But then it's like, then you could flip it and be like, okay, well, why are the Brutes and McIntyre here? Like they're the odd ones out. So it's like there's just
There's a
something's
lot going
brewing.
on.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think that's why it's like at this point, like it's kind of confusing to be like, okay, where is this going? And
Mhm.
what are we doing? But I don't know. I think it's exciting because there's a lot of like great possibilities. So um
Ooh.
but I also liked because the next match was Dexter Loomis versus Chad Gable. um
Well, how is he moving like that?
yeah, what is that? That was my favorite thing. He was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's a human." Like I don't know if that's what you were talking about. Are you talking like are you referencing how he's moving, or are you asking like what is he? Like
It's so funny, the whole Dexter Loomis, like, thing right now.
he's so good. I wrote down that
It's so well done.
he has I said I love how much he's embraced his character. And I think that's the thing too, because I don't know if people are aware that when he was released, he changed his name back to his original name, Sam Shaw. But he was like a stalker type of character in the indies or whatever he was doing. So he maintained similarities to what he
Yeah,
was
the
doing in
aura, his
NXT.
essence.
Yes. So he's just done such a good job with it. I mean, like it's one thing when like, and this is something that I think that we've credited Bray for. So it's very similar in that way where like there are plenty of ways that you can just like be a character and you portray that when you're speaking. But when you take it down to the finer details of just like how you're moving in the ring, it's like not even just, oh, I'm going to include this move because I'm supposed to be like a badass. So I need to do this like badass move. It's like, okay, predictable. But when it comes down to like him like crawling on his like knuckles, like around, like it reminds me of when Bray would like do the upside down, like in the
That
corner.
was so
Like,
creepy.
so, but I'm
Oh, I
saying like it
that was
played
so
into that,
creepy when
right?
he did
And
that. Yeah.
so it's like, okay, Loomis doesn't speak. He's like always staring at you. He's just like just doing these weird moves. It's just like it's so good.
When he did the kip up into the leg drop,
Oh
I
yeah.
I I almost fell on the floor laughing. Not because of a
Well,
botch or anything, because it was just so out of pocket. Then he
well,
just
even
did just go straight kip up and then like in midair
a leg
turn
drop.
leg
Yeah.
drop. I'm like,
And then
what is
even
that?
Graves was like, "What was that?" And I was like, "Let him live. Let him be his quirky, weird self."
Oh,
Okay. I'm
I
so here for
want
it.
like he needs to be in at least some sort of segment or match every week. Like he is someone at this point where him and Gargano need to be aligned because the balance of them two is perfect.
Well, And
It's so
the
good.
comedic factor too, because it's like I feel like when he's buying, and that's the thing that I think I'm a little confused about. So like originally when they brought him back and he was like doing the stalking stuff and was like in the ring and like following Miz around, it was supposed to be like, oh, he's scary, like he's a scary person, like he's stalking, he's being weird. But then, the way that they're doing commentary and stuff, it's like it's become more comedic. So I'm like, okay, so are we supposed to be like scared of him because he's a weird individual, or is it supposed to be kind of funny? Like, because I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
even when
still terrified of, like, him as, like, whatever,
like what
but
he's capable of.
oh, what he's capable of, yeah, terrified.
Yeah.
That's why it's a great just that's why how he's doing so great with it is because it's funny of the shit he's doing from a comedic standpoint because we're watching it. But
Hmm.
once you put yourself in the wrestler's shoes, it's like, no, if you were in the ring with this man, like I would be terrified if like out of nowhere I turn around and the dude just crawling on his knuckles at
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
it'd be freaky as hell. So like
Yeah.
it's so good. It's just so well done, and I want to see more of him.
I know. I want to
A
see him in a
lot.
real feud again.
Oh, that'd be so
Because like
awesome to see
obviously
him in
this
a
was
real
just like
feud.
one of those one-off matches because Miz is
Oh
doing
yeah.
whatever. I don't remember what he's doing. But yeah, I want to see him in like a real feud. And that's the thing too. We missed Gargano last night. So
Yeah, I think
there
they're
wasn't
wrapping
anything
up the
going on with
holidays.
them. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what they end up doing with him because I feel like there's a lot of possibilities there. Um and I think a lot of people are invested in it because of just how interesting and different he is.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Oh,
um,
that's awesome.
and
It's
another thing that people are interested in, Becky Lynch.
oh,
Becky Lynch is so good, and now she's back and she's a baby face. And last night she took on Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Bailey on the outside. And then, of course, this was the other thing too. Mia Yim comes out, which I love, but I am very confused about what's going on with her name. So is she Mia Yim or is she Michin? Because the commentary team could not make up their minds and they kept calling her Michin. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, if that's what she wants her name to be, that's cool. But like, you said it like 48 times. So, like, it's like there's that one clip I remember from earlier this year from Raw where the commentary team, I swear, like 30 something times they were saying Seth freaking Rollins, Seth freaking Rollins, Seth freaking
yeah.
Rollins. And I was just like, oh my God, like, can we stop? Like, you could tell that even at one point, like, Graves was definitely trying to like not say it. So he would just be like, Rollins, because he just
Yeah.
didn't want to say the whole thing. And I'm like, because it's overkill. Just stop it at this point. Like, it's bad. And so I feel like they need to figure that out because I feel like it's going to be confusing to people what exactly she's supposed to be called. But I am glad that despite the fact that AJ Styles is injured with a broken ankle, that
Yeah,
hopefully they'll
that's
still be
sad.
using Mia Yim because obviously we didn't even have Damage Control last night. Or not Damage Control, Judgment Day.
We did not have any. This is okay. I am assuming that a lot of the bigger names got this, to the next week or whatever. Um, just with the holidays and it got other people involved. I mean, we saw Shelton Benjamin and
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali in
Mm-hmm.
the mix too. Like, you know what I mean? We saw guys that was just they're not on camera.
Yeah.
So, that's one reason I would say. But yeah, I am so sad about AJ. I'm so sad. I
I
love
know.
AJ
So,
Styles
well, the good
so
thing is
much.
that he said he doesn't need surgery.
That's huge.
So,
That is
yeah.
huge.
So that's why I'm thinking like this is nice if this is their way of having Mia be involved still, because I feel like it'll be good to not have her take a back seat because AJ is gone and who knows what's going to go on with the OC. At least last night I think they were kind of not on TV because the Judgment Day wasn't around, so it was like, okay, we don't have anything for you at this point because the storyline that you had is not here.
Mhm.
So if they have Mia, then I think that's cool.
Well,
Um,
the Judgment Day technically,
yeah, we'll
technically.
get there in a second. Because I have a lot to say about that.
Oh,
Um,
I'm shocked.
so Bailey on commentary, even though she wasn't like technically on commentary, I just love that she messes with them all the time, even with Michael
Oh,
Cole not there.
so funny.
She's so good. And I feel like Becky's doing a pretty good job as a babyface. She's really over. So, because I loved her as a heel, I loved her heel work this year
I think it
because
was
like
really good.
all of her different costumes and stuff. I love that she was like the female version of Seth. It was just perfect.
Mhm.
But yeah, I thought that they had an entertaining match, and I'm glad that we're seeing more women get matches throughout episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and it's not just a one-off thing. Like there's actually like multiple storylines happening. So I don't again, this is another one where I'm not sure what exactly they're gonna want to end up doing with this. Like, is it going to keep being Becky and Bailey? Like
Oh, this
what
is
is
gonna be a long this is gonna be drawn out till at
I
least
know, is it gonna
Mania.
be like Becky versus Bailey at Mania? I'm just
That's what it
wondering.
should be.
That's what it should be because we haven't seen that with Bailey.
Yeah,
Especially
give the women
because
like a show stealer match that has nothing to do with the title at Mania. You know, that's
yeah.
another historic accomplishment for the women, honestly.
And
It's like
it
seriously.
would be good because I mean, it's looking right now that neither of them are gonna be involved in the title picture as of yet anyways. It's Bianca and Alexa for the time being, and then who knows what happens there. We already saw that Charlotte returns and she's gonna be on SmackDown, so we don't have to worry about that. But I would love for Bailey to be a part of a big match at Mania because the last few years it's been Sasha, Bianca, Charlotte, Becky. Like it's been the same girls, and I love them all. I'm not, nothing against them, but it would be cool to have Bailey be in one of those. So that would be cool. But if you want to get into the part of the Judgment Day that we did see, we can talk about that.
The
I just want
bad
to,
boy,
yeah,
Chico.
let's stop. Just don't. I just vomited a little in my mouth there.
Like that's what no, everyone was like just taught like making their jokes, whatever. And I throw out probably the best joke of the night, and no one throws me a like or hey, nice one,
Oh.
champ. Bad boy. He's the bad boy. Because
But this
then
is
he's mommy, so he's got that like simp vibe, but then it's like he's trying to do the Chico with the toothpick.
no.
Like,
How dare he?
like that's what I know. I knew you were gonna. As soon as I saw it, I went, "This is gonna be hilarious to talk about,"
I'm
because
no.
you are gonna. I need to hear your thoughts about it because I already know that what I think, and you definitely feel a little bit stronger than I do about this.
Well, okay, so them doing the whole like, "Oh, we're coming over for Christmas" thing, right? It's like, okay, I get it because the first one did so well. The Thanksgiving one did what? It was Thanksgiving, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, that did so well online. Um,
I think it
but I'm
did.
just like,
Did it not?
what? No, I'm saying it did. I'm not
Oh, I
being
thought you were being
sarcastic.
sarcastic. Excuse
No,
me.
no, I'm saying it's no, it got like millions of views and like people were laughing, like they thought it was great. So I'm not surprised that they were gonna then do it again for Christmas. Like, okay. Um, but I'm just like I feel like this one wasn't done as well. And I think obviously like sometimes it's just when you do one thing, it does really well and you don't need to do it again, and I feel like in this case it was kind of one of those because um I'm tired of the hit me. I know you want to hit me. It's like, shut up, Dominic. Like, you're so annoying. Like, do you have anything else to say? Like, it's just like, stop. Like, it's just so cringy. I don't like it. And then they throw him in the back of the police car. And then he's like talking like I've done hard time. Boy, you went to county jail for the night. Like, what do you mean you did hard time? He's talking about how he went to prison. Like, do you think you were convicted of murder and spent like 25 years in prison? You spent 25 hours in the county jail. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just like so confused about why he's like, I've done hard time now, and prison changes people. Like, I'm a man. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You're saying this happened on Christmas? It's January 2nd. How much hard time did you do? A week? Like, you're trying to say you were in there for a week? Like, you spent a few hours until you made your $30 bail. Like, what are you talking about? And then the toothpick, bro. No. No, you're not a bad guy. You're not a bad guy. Just stop. I wanted Damian Priest to show up and just like razor's edge him. Like, who the hell do you think you are? How dare you, Dominic? How dare you? That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say.
It would the $30 bill. I
Well,
just
I mean, come on.
yeah, no, it was just I loved it for the sheer fact that I honestly took it as comedy. I think this was good for him that, like, alright, he's gonna be acting more serious, we'll say,
But he's
and
just not good
act like
at
he has a
it.
hard side to him, but in reality, he's still that goof, and now it gives him the chance to, actually do something in the ring. I will say, so I saw a tweet of, uh, WWE posted about the clip of him or the clip of it, and the Marvel writer that's on their staff, I and his name always slips my mind. He quote tweeted it with a quote from Harry Potter where it was the opening lines of it, and the opening lines of his promo was the Harry Potter line about the Dementors.
Oh gosh. Like, way to be so creative, Dom.
It was so funny. Oh, it was
I mean,
incredible.
it's like yeah, I'm just I I want to give him credit because obviously like he's on his own now, whatever, but I just feel like we haven't seen like a lot of improvement. Like it's still just like, and this is the thing, I do give him somewhat of a pass because as talented as Rey Mysterio is in the ring, he was always awful on the mic and he still is. Like he physically makes me like uncomfortable when he speaks just because it's like you can just first of all, he's like a higher pitched voice, which is fine, but it's like but then it's like when he's trying to be serious, it's like a little more difficult to be like, yeah, okay, because like you're small, whatever. But it's just the way he says it, it just comes off very acty, like he's trying, like he's delivering his lines. And I feel like
Yeah.
that very much is how Dominic is as well. So it's like I have to cut him some slack because it's not like he had The Rock as his dad. You know what I
Oh,
mean? It's
yeah.
not like Dolph Ziggler was his dad. It was like Eddie Guerrero,
Eddie Guerrero was his
what
dad.
whatever. So he didn't have like a real talker to like look up to. But yeah, it's like I would have a problem with that that video last night, probably regardless. But at least if he sold it a little bit better, like it's almost like he's more convincing as being like a tough guy when he's speaking Spanish. Like that at the end, when he did that at the end, like his little shout out to mommy, like that sounded more like tough for him. Like he sounded more of the bad guy than like how he just normally like. I mean, with the toothpick in your mouth, bro, shut up, stop. Oh my god, like the 7 hours I was in jail and I slept on the floor in the holding cell. Oh my god, my life is over. I'm such a badass. I'm such a tough guy now. Like, bro, like
Yeah.
I just wish that Finn and
Yeah.
Damien I just wish I just wish I wish that like Finn and like Damien just like popped up in the background being like, bro, what the fuck? And just started laughing. Be like,
You're not
dude,
hard.
you called us immediately when you got in there. We got you out within 3 hours. Like, what are you talking about, dude? You owe us $300. Like, you got a court date in March. Like stop. But anyway,
Next
shall we?
segment.
Main event.
Oh, that's such a great way to end or transition into the main event is Dominic
So,
Mysterio.
Austin Theory versus Seth Rollins.
This
I
was
would
sad
say,
though.
well, yeah, we'll get there in a second. I love that Theory is very dedicated to the jacket look, with the shirtless chest. Very much appreciates his attempt at looking like a heel by wearing a hunter green jacket with no shirt on and a chain. That's his that's his idea of being a heel. I like that he changed his gear to match.
I do
I
like
still
that. What
I
Hunter Green isn't like tough guy.
I mean, his ass still says like A Town Down or something. I don't know what it says. I don't know, but I hate the A Town Down thing. I absolutely hate it. I get
Hey,
it. You're
down,
from
down,
Atlanta,
hey, down,
but it
down.
just no. I hate it. I hate every second of it. I still feel like he needs to change his music. Like if you're supposed to be this tough guy, that doesn't work with me. And I give him credit because obviously his evolution over the last several weeks, months, whatever, since they had him kind of transition out of being the it guy, the hand chosen one by Vince McMahon. Obviously, he's done a great job, but I still feel like there's quite a ways. Like I really liked that like week where he was just like beating the shit out of everybody,
Oh, that
and he
was
was like
awesome.
literally like spitting, like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is the direction you need to go. But I feel like he's gotten kind of back to where he was, minus the selfies, and then more of like, I'm not a kid. Like that's what we have. But it's like I kind of want to still see, like, if that's what you're trying to progress to, I feel like I would kind of like to see
Okay.
more of that, you know?
But my thing with that is the kid stuff is rivalry uh based with Seth, in my opinion, because that's what, like, Seth would that was how they were the rivalry started before. Now it's more the fact that that's gonna end, and now his next feud, I think we're gonna see a lot more of that badass, tough guy, just beat the shit out of you, and it has no remorse type of attitude. It was tough though that he's supposed to be his badass, and then his drawing. I don't know if you saw the video of it, but he was drawing on Seth as he entered the arena, and then the marker died on him. He's like, the
Oh,
marker died, but you get the point. And it was just like,
yeah.
oh, you couldn't have that happen. But he could be in such a worse position and spot right now. So I'm on his, where let's see what we have
Yeah.
to do.
No, 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 I'm not cutting him off. I just mean
Oh,
I kind of
yeah, I
wanna
know you're not.
see
Yeah.
I wanna see more of what we saw in that, like, week or 2 where he was, like, trying to be like, "I'm not a kid, I'm not this, I'm not that." I wanna see
Yeah.
more of that weekly, because also the Seth him and Seth are not gonna continue feuding. Like, there's only so many more
No.
matches that they can have for the US title. Like, it's getting
Yeah.
boring at this point because, what was that? Like, their 2nd or 3rd
Like,
rematch for the
yeah,
title?
3rd, maybe
So,
2nd
I
one-on-one.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna have to come to a close at some point. So,
Oh, yeah.
um, but I mean, it was a solid match, of course. They had quite a while, I think like 25 minutes. They had like the last half hour or
Oh, yeah, no, they
so.
had a good chunk of change from Raw.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I mean, it was just another good match by both of them. Obviously, they're both really good in the ring. Seth is the number one, according to who was it? Wasn't Rolling Stone? Who was it
The Rolling
that named
Stone?
him? No, who named him number one?
PW Insider?
I don't know. It was whatever list came out, and he was the number one wrestler for
Seth
2022.
Rollins?
Yes.
I'm looking it
How
up.
have you not seen this? I even tweeted it. Now, I mean, I have so many tweets. I mean, I can try and find it.
I
Um,
got it. Daily DDT, Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated. I knew it was one of the bigger names, but anyway, yeah. So he was named number one. Yeah. So I mean, pretty on brand for a Seth Rollins match, but yeah. So
Yeah, it was
that was
good.
Raw. That was Raw.
That was Raw. It was an interesting show, to say the least. We did get was did they make fun of Top Dollar on SmackDown, or was that on Raw?
I think it's SmackDown because
Okay.
Ricochet's a part of it. So
Yes,
I'm pretty
correct.
sure. Yeah.
Because I was trying to see when that Royal Rumble qualifying match is, because we're getting those back again. I like
Yeah.
those. I wanna see more of those on Raw, uh, next week, start building up the Rumble a little bit.
I think I'm also interested to see the direction that Triple H takes who is in the match, because is it going to be like all of the top guys basically that don't have a match are in it? Or are they going to try and make it more of like, okay, this is an opportunity for the guys that don't normally get the opportunity? Like, obviously, it's not going to be like Mustafa Ali wins the Rumble and he's going to go on to face Roman at Mania. Like, obviously, that's not happening. But I am curious because, um, I think that the last several Rumbles have kind of taken the fun out of the Rumble, like the mystique out of it, the mystery out of who is going to win. It's like at some point you kind of you already know, like, okay, this person's gonna win, obviously. Like, I kind of miss like not knowing. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
hoping that we can kind of get back to that, and that it's not going to be like the same people who are in a Mania match every single year. Like, can we see something new? Like, that's why I think also it'd be like not ideal for Cody to return, because then I think everyone would know that Cody was winning, or they would assume that Cody was winning. So I am interested. I'm curious to see who else returns, because there's quite a few names that have been circulating, like Cardona and Chelsea Green.
Ooh,
Like, are
those
they
would
gonna
be
I
Rumble.
also do not, if we're gonna talk about the Rumble real quick for the women's Rumble, can we please stop bringing back some of these women that have been in the Rumble every single year that no one cares about? And when I say no one,
Like
I mean
who?
like Kelly, like the
What?
Bellas, like no one cares.
You don't want to
Nobody
see Kelly
cares.
Kelly?
Are you kidding me right now?
I love when Kelly enters the
Yeah,
Rumble.
you love Kelly. You love looking at Kelly. That's what you're
I
saying.
love her wrestling technique.
I'm sure you do.
All
You
right.
like how she wrestles in this tiny clothing.
All
That's what you
right.
like.
All right. Say
Okay.
targeting
I'm just
15
saying.
yards.
Okay.
That's a personal
Whatever.
foul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My voice
That
just
ooh. Who he could win the Rumble.
No, he's in a match. So
So he can still be in a match and do double duty.
I
It's the
doubt
Rumble.
he's going to be in a pitch black match with Bray Wyatt and then also be in the Rumble. I
That's
don't see that
true.
happening.
Yeah.
This isn't 1997, okay?
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I do. Well, here's my legit winner. If I had to pick one right now, Gunther.
I'm saying no because I think they have plans to keep him as the Intercontinental Champion until Mania. There's ideas floating about even him versus Cena at Mania.
Ooh.
Which would be kind of cool because Cena's never been Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, that would be.
So that can you believe that out of all of the wrestlers who are not a Grand Slam champion, John Cena is not a Grand Slam champion?
That may be one of the most wild stats in wrestling.
I mean, I would much I mean, I don't particularly want to see that, but I would much prefer to see that than him versus Logan Paul because that would make me want to
Oh no,
gouge
that
my
would
eyes
slap.
out.
That would slap.
No, it wouldn't. You know what? You need to be slapped.
All right, that's not the first time a woman told me I need to be slapped.
All right. I don't, but I have no idea. I haven't thought about the Rumble honestly and who I think is going to win. So, I think that we still have too much time. Like
when
we
is
don't
it? Let
know.
me check. When
It's
is?
on. It's at the end of the month, but I'm saying it's 3.5 weeks, so it was like 3 weeks from 3 or 4 weeks from Sunday.
Okay.
The
24,
28th. 28th.
28th.
Is that when it is?
Yes.
Was I right?
Saturday,
Okay.
January 28th.
Yeah, so it's a while, and I think that because we don't know exactly who's having a match and who's not, and whatever, it's kind of hard to be like, oh, okay, well, this person. Because I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing too, is like there's so many people on SmackDown that could be in the match, and it's like there's just so many guys that could be in it. And it's like, I don't know. And it depends on what direction they're trying to take the Universal title or the WWE title, what their plan is with Roman. It's like maybe Kevin Owens wins. I don't know.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
That would be great.
I hope he never changes his song because I feel like he has that like Stone Cold Steve Austin like aura about him. Obviously, we know he even does the stunner. But I feel like he has one of the few entrance songs that should never change, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like Stone Cold had one, he had one that had words to it at one point.
Disturbed, yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty sick. Yeah, no, I liked that one. It's like Kane's. Like I liked Kane's one with words in it, but it was still like
He's better, yeah.
But it was still like they kept the same music behind it. So I'm like, I wonder if I want Kevin Owens to be like that too. I feel like don't ever change your music. Don't
change.
It's
KO.
too good. Yeah.
Don't change.
But
All
anyway.
right, that does it for us recapping, rebounding some Monday Night Raw action. Thank you for everyone who tuned into this. And we will be doing this in the upcoming future, 2023. So get ready. Tell your friends, tell your peeps about this championship caliber rebound we will be doing. And to check it out, you got to go and follow us on the socials at Pat_Pitts on Twitter for me, and Pitsy35 on Instagram. Follow Sara on Twitter at SMarshXO. Anything else, Sara, that you would like to we got the show. We will be recording the show tomorrow. Pitts and Sara's wrestling show will be tomorrow.
YouTube.
It will be. Yes.
We're gonna be so we're gonna be involving more on YouTube finally. So that is our platform of choice. So hopefully we can build a bigger community and talk with more wrestling fans and Yeah, so we should be doing this
Wrestler.
like at like 3 times a week, I think.
At
So,
least, yeah,
yeah.
because the Dynamite, but until you really get into AEW, which who knows how long that will be, I'll probably just do AEW stuff as a video or something. But no, yeah, the wrestling show. I think what we talking about tomorrow. I text you about specialty matches. I think was the
Yes. Yeah.
specialty matches are top. We're gonna be giving our top specialty matches. So if that's something that you're interested in, come back and hang with us in the Art of Streams. And thank you for tuning in to this episode, this little edition of Pits and Sarah's Wrestling Show. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All I gotta do is try. See you tomorrow.